Okay, hello. Last week I told you that I'm going to teach you how to do really quick sketches. This week we're going to focus on probably the most basic element of sketching, which is drawing a straight line. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw or make two marks, 2 points. And essentially what this is going to do is give you a starting point and an end point. It's really important to do this because it teaches you to have goal-oriented drawing. You're not just drawing randomly in space, you're actually working towards achieving a certain goal here, which is really important. And some of this might seem really trivial, but trust me, in the end, it really makes a big difference. So what you're going to do is you're going to take short distance and you're going to literally just draw from one point to the other. Okay, great. You're going to do the same thing again. And you're going to draw a straight line. And you're going to try and hit it. You'll see over there, I actually missed it by like a millimeter. Or even less. And if you feel confident about it, stretch it out a little bit more. Now, you might realize some things about the way that I'm drawing. One is, as I sit in front of this table, the paper is angled slightly. This is basically because everybody has a certain angle at which they are more comfortable drawing at. Now you might ask me what happens later on when we start drawing vertical or diagonal lines. The quick answer about that is something that they refer to as two-handed drawing, which means that if you can draw a straight line at a certain angle that you feel comfortable at, you can then turn the page. And essentially what that does is it aids you in drawing at any angle, obviously, that you desire to draw at and draw a straight line. So that is two-handed drawing. We'll refer back to that multiple times, but that's a really important principle. In terms of the setup doing that, at the moment I'm working on an A4 on a really nice surface. You might not be as lucky, so in terms of that I definitely suggest getting yourself some kind of clipboard. I've got this one here. I actually use it on the train, and you'll also hear me referring to my train exercises, but essentially I commute every day, and this clipboard just helps me to be able to turn the platform that I'm working on without having too much interference. Then another really important thing is, well, let's continue with the exercise. So you're going to stretch out that line drawing exercise and just keep on increasing that distance. So let's start afresh. So let's say, for instance, that you get to this point and you're trying to draw a line from there to there. Maybe your first one's pretty good. Let's say your next one looks something like this. And that could happen for many reasons. Essentially what happens to us a lot is that at school or wherever you grew up, you might have been taught to hold a pen like this. And you'll see probably from that angle of the camera that you really can't see where my hand is drawing. You can't see the tip of the pen, which is really a big problem. So what I would suggest is when you hold the pen, hold it back so that literally the back part of the pencil or pen or whatever is at its most furthest point resting on your hand. So this is also what is referred to as the tripod grip, essentially because you have 3 points converging on the pencil or the pen. The pen should be resting between all three of these. So essentially on your middle finger, resting over there, and then with your thumb keeping it at the back. In a very relaxed, you'll see like most of these are pretty straight. It's not bent like this, trying to keep it straight. And then this one essentially just aiding in that sense. It should be very loose. So what you want to try and avoid is what I do refer to as the claw, which is something like this, you know, getting almost to that point. Or where people start, I don't know, using these random grips like this, or I don't know. I've seen guys in prison doing this. Just joking. But you see a lot of strange pencil grip configurations. There is another one that I think is really important to do as well, which is what is referred to as the overhand grip, where essentially you're holding the pen like this and then turning your entire hand so that instead of resting on the back part here, I'm actually not anatomically sure what this is called, but here where the fourth metacarpal joins to the hand, if you turn that from that resting position to essentially resting on the palms here, so literally like turning your palm towards the page, that is a very stable place in terms of locking this wrist. And we'll talk about why that's really important right now, but essentially that is a very good place to be drawing from. So back to the point, we tend to draw like this from muscle memory. So in school you might have been taught when you were writing or whatever to write like that, and you can kind of see that we're writing from a position where either your most of your movement is here in the fingers, or essentially in the wrist. All right, so you can see that if you want to sketch really quickly and accurately, what you want to do is you want to have a longer lever. So that means that you want to get the part from this point where you touch the pen or pencil right back to your elbow and even maybe your shoulder. You want to keep that as stable as possible. So essentially what you want to do is, if your hand rests on the paper at all, it should be really minimal and it should literally just be touching. The rest of that movement should be coming from your shoulder. I might upload a little video later of how that actually looks when you sit next to me, but essentially you want to keep that as straight as possible. So, but let's say for instance you did this, right? So essentially the middle of this should be somewhere around there, right? So now you've gone and drawn this really crooked line here, this bowed line. That is probably because of muscle memory. So from what I've read and experienced, the best way to actually counter this is to kind of try and figure out where the opposite of that is. And that would be round about there somewhere. So what you try and do is draw an exact inverted line of this one. And it's actually going to be really hard because your muscle memory is going that way. So essentially step one would be to do the wrong line. Once you notice that, try and identify where that line would have been and draw a inverse of that. And it's going to be really hard, and you might make mistakes, but that doesn't really matter. The most important thing is to actually try and invert this line, and then finally draw your straight line after that. So what this actually does is it counters your muscle memory, your intuitive muscle memory, and retrains it to be able to draw that straight line. And then after that, just keep on punching through, drawing your straight lines. And this is the most essential part of drawing, or sketching, I should rather say. And if you start noticing that, for instance, let's say you're starting to bow like that again, that's fine. You might notice that, okay, it seems okay until this point, so take it back to that point and just start again. And this should be done every time before you sketch. Try and reach that goal, and you'll see in the beginning it's going to be really tedious, but as you go on you're going to get better and better. So you'll see I made a mistake there, so I'm going to cut this back to where I felt comfortable, and that seems okay. So I'm going to stretch it out a little bit again, and this should, as I said, be done every time before you sketch. So I'll show you some examples of what my drawing exercises look every time before I start. So these are some of my recent sketches, which I'll probably publish soon. And here you can kind of see a compositional sketch, which I'll teach you how to do. There you go. This is a drawing exercise I do every time before I start sketching, and you'll see those lines there, which will combine later with ellipses, some hatching exercises, foliage patterns, and then also this exercise. So I'll get to that exercise now, get to drawing those lines, and if you do 5 million lines a day, awesome. That'll improve your sketching heaps. So keep on punching through, drawing these lines. Might seem crazy, people might think you're absolutely bonkers, but that's okay. When you start sketching really beautiful architectural concept sketches, they might start copying you. So enjoy drawing those lines, and keep on watching. I think the next video should be up soon, and I'll show you some more exercises. Cheers.